Hey guys, welcome into another Joint Movement DPT's video. I am Megan and this is my husband Ryan, and we are traveling physical therapists. Today we're going to be talking about what's in a travel therapy pay package, and we hope that it's helpful.
So today we're going to go over a travel therapy package, which can definitely be kind of confusing for sure. We just hope that we can kind of simplify it and make it easier, because I know when we first started traveling, we had tons of different questions out there about like, what is in a travel therapy package? What is this thing called stipends? What are per diems?
Right.
Are we going to get benefits? Do travelers get benefits like permanent staff do? You know, what can we expect when it comes to pay as travelers? And we were just really confused. And if you have some of the same questions and you're thinking about getting into travel therapy, this video is definitely for you.
So let's start by understanding where the money that you're paid with actually comes from. So it's important for you to know that you're an employee of the recruiting company and not of the contract facility, which means that the recruiting company is actually the one who's going to be paying your salary and your benefits.
Right, not the hospital that you're working at, or the outpatient clinic, or the skilled nursing facility, or wherever you are working.
Right.
They are not paying you directly.
No. And that also means that you are a W-2 employee of the recruiting company. So instead of receiving all of these miscellaneous 1099 forms from these different contract facilities, you're really just receiving one W-2 form from your contract facility. So if we take two separate contracts in two separate states, but we work for the same recruiting company for both of those, we'll receive one W-2 form.
Yeah, and that's really nice because, like we always tell people, you're going to want to work with about 2 recruiters, 3 recruiters, which means 3 different companies.
Yeah.
And so if you happen to take a contract with each different company, I mean, in 1 year, you're looking at tops, maybe 4 different companies. But that's pretty rare. A lot of the times you end up taking some contracts with the same company.
Yeah.
So it's way less stressful than it first seems.
Yeah. So in terms of where your money is actually coming from, let's just break it down really simply. So your recruiting company is going to bill the contracting facility, hospital, outpatient clinic, SNF, whatever it is, for your services. And then the recruiting company is going to get paid, and they split it up however they need to for their company. So they'll have overhead expenses like rent, they'll have utilities, they'll have marketing to pay, and then they also have payroll and benefits to pay, and that's when the money comes to you for your salary.
So to even simplify it even more, the hospital pays your travel company, then the travel company will pay you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's important to understand that your recruiting company can package your pay in a variety of different ways, but typically what they're going to do is present it to you in weekly pay. We found that the national average pay is about $1,800 per week, and that's from ZipRecruiter, where we're getting our information. Mm-hmm. So $1,800 per week is what your recruiter would offer you in the contract.
Mm-hmm. And just in terms of the market right now with COVID going on, these numbers from ZipRecruiter are not adjusted for that, so it's definitely lower right now.
Yeah, it's definitely suppressed. We're seeing more in the probably $1,400 to $1,600 range.
We're still young professionals, but the jobs that are being listed publicly are in that range.
Right. And there's a lot of factors that depend on that, but you can kind of think of COVID in that range, but usually the average is about $1,800 per week. So the weekly number that the recruiting company will offer to you, that is your take-home pay, meaning that's the dollars that you're going to get and put in your pocket. And that weekly payment includes your hourly wage, your stipends or per diems, and then your taxes being deducted.
Right. So the recruiting company has already accounted for your taxes. You don't have to worry about those being taken out from that weekly amount.
Yeah. The only thing it doesn't include is your benefits. And the reason why they don't include the benefits usually on that initial weekly offer is because you're going to opt into those once you apply and you're going into the contract. And there's different varying levels of benefits, like different levels of health insurance and dental insurance.
Right.
And so depending what you pick, that'll cost more, and then that will be deducted. But the big take home for this take home pay is that taxes are already accounted for.
Right. Most companies won't let you opt in for benefits until you're actually working the job and you're an employee. And a lot of companies have different rules around their insurance. So some companies, for example, will say that you're eligible to opt in on the first of the month after you begin working. So if you begin working on June 2nd, you'd have to wait for all of June, and then you can opt in on July 1st. And you do get to pick different plans, whichever works best for you. And so it's not just one flat fee that they're going to take out of your salary. You might have a couple weeks that you're working before they start taking money out for that plan because you haven't opted in for it yet. So that does differ a little bit, but for an example, for us, we are paid every 2 weeks or bi-weekly, and it takes out less than $100 every billing cycle for our benefits.
Yes.
So it's less than $100 every billing cycle for our benefits, and we could make it cheaper or more expensive based on what our needs are.
And those benefits include health insurance, dental, vision, typically anything you would normally get at working a permanent position, you are offered from your travel company. Yep. As a traveler.
Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about benefits in our top 10 myths about travel physical therapy. So if you have more questions about benefits, we went a little bit more into detail in that video. You can find that up there or up there.
Yeah, check it out.
So you may be wondering, what's the deal with this hourly pay and stipend pay? So let's break it down. So as a traveler, you're eligible to have taxable income and non-taxed income. And in order to qualify for the non-taxed income, you have to have and maintain a tax home. If you don't qualify for the non-taxed income, then just everything is taxed like it is at a normal job.
And this is a huge perk for travel therapists, and this is why travel therapists make a little bit more than normal permanent therapists.
Yeah, it's why we end up keeping more of our earnings in our own pockets. For those of you who do qualify for tax-free income, it's going to take the form of stipends or reimbursements, and those usually come in the form of money for meals and incidentals and money for lodging. And this amount that you're given towards those reimbursements or those stipends is determined through GSA.gov or the U.S. General Services Administration.
And what these government websites are doing is essentially assessing what is the cost of living in the area that you're wanting to take a contract. And then based off that cost of living, then they give kind of predetermined amount for your meals and incidentals and then lodging or housing.
Yeah. So if you go to GSA.gov and look up the area that your next contract is in, on your contract from your recruiting company, the amount going towards your stipends should not exceed what's on GSA.gov. But an important thing to remember is that it might not go all the way up to the GSA.gov amount. So you might not be earning that full amount, or you might be earning more of your money in your hourly salary versus the stipend. So don't expect it to be exactly that rate, but it should be within a reasonable amount, and it shouldn't be over that amount.
Right. If for some reason you check it and you're seeing that, wow, my recruiting company is giving me way more tax-free money, that's an issue, and the IRS doesn't like that.
They can come get you.
And so that's really rare, but that's why it's really important to have trusted, recommended recruiters.
Right.
And so that's why we went with recommended recruiters. And if you guys need recruiter recommendations, people we trust and have vetted, feel free to email us, and we'll put that email down below in the video description.
Yeah.
And we'd love to help you.
Yeah.
Now, the other variable for your tax-free stipends is the housing. And so you can choose two different routes. You can choose to have the recruiting company find you housing. In that case, they're going to take your lodging stipend or your housing stipend because they're going to be the ones who are finding the housing and paying the rent. And this can be a great option. I mean, then you don't have to worry or hassle about trying to find housing at your next contract. You just kind of let the recruiting company do it for you. You just don't get the housing stipend.
Yeah, so whatever housing ends up being that they find you just won't receive that part of your salary into your pocket because you're not having to pay for housing anymore. The recruiting company is. So effectively, the recruiting company is the one who's deciding how much your monthly rent is, which they don't have bad intentions towards you, but they might not be as frugal as you are, or they might not be as concerned about finding a deal as you are. So the other option is to look for your own housing and just to take all of the money, put it in your pocket, find your own housing, and pay your rent out of that.
That's the option that we choose. As most of you guys know, if you watch our vlog, we renovated a RV, and so we choose to live in an RV. So we just take both our housing stipends from our contracts, and then we go and find an RV park somewhere, and that's what we pay for our rent. And that's really worked out for us.
Yeah. And the reason we chose to do that was, one, because we wanted the RV and we thought it would be fun. We found a great deal. But also because there was a chance that we could find housing that was cheaper, we were willing to put in the work to either look for something or negotiate something just to get our rent a little bit cheaper.
So to give you an example of like the contract that we're on currently, we make about $75 per day for lodging. That's what we're given in our contract, which in 1 month or 4 weeks, we end up, one of us, our housing stipend covers $1,500. And so with that $1,500, then we can take it and do whatever we want with it. And so we choose to stay in an RV park, which typically costs around $400 to $500, give or take, depending on where you're at, a month. And so really we are saving about $1,000 to $1,100, depending on what RV park we're staying in, just because we choose to take that housing stipend.
And because the RV allows us to have cheaper rent. Now, you do have to consider the cost of we bought the RV and we renovated the RV, so you can extrapolate that along how many years you would have to travel and have cheap rent to pay that off. But housing that is short-term leases or that's pre-furnished, those tend to be more expensive. So it really is a much lower monthly rate that we're able to get compared to some of those other options. But again, I mean, we spent some extra money on the front end. So it's something to consider if you're in that position trying to figure out what you want to do.
Now, the other side of this pay package is the typical taxable income. So when the recruiting company offers you that weekly pay, a portion of that will be taxable, and that'll be presented to you in your hourly pay. Now, when you first see this hourly pay and you've heard from your other therapy friends or you've looked up online, like on Glassdoor, of like how much does a physical therapist hourly make, this will seem really low, and it might be kind of shocking. But the reason why it's lower is because they're trying to give you as much of your income in that tax-free side. Now, with that, every time when I first heard that, I was thinking, well, why don't we just really lower it? Have me only make like minimum wage so I can make all my money and not be taxed on it. But that's a big no-no. That sends up red flags to the IRS, and then they come get you. And so we always say never go below $20 per hour. We've been in the range of about $20 to $25 per hour, which is a whole lot lower than a typical physical therapist would make hourly. But you got to remember that's only one side of the equation. You do have all the tax-free income also. Like we said, that's all included into that weekly pay. Already figured out. They've already taken the taxes out. That weekly payment that they're showing you, you take that home. That goes in your pocket.
So after all of that, I hope you feel like you understand a travel therapy pay package a little bit better. And please comment down below and let us know if you have any additional questions or any additional insight to what a travel therapy pay package looks like.
And if you did benefit from this video, please smash that like button for us so we know you're out there and we can keep creating content. We're planning to do more educational videos, so hit that subscribe button so you don't miss another video from us. And then also join us on Sundays for our vlog and our adventuring. So that's kind of the fun side of travel therapy and what we're getting to do, because we get to live in different parts of the United States, and it's really fun. We'd love to see you there, too.
So until next time,
see ya.